All right. Interesting here to see 10 Pound 42. I think he's relatively new to Star Citizen, a year or two into Star Citizen. Very good tech guides from 10 Pound 42. We've watched a few here on the channel. Knows his shit, especially hardware related issues with Star Citizen. Check out this dude if you're looking out to know what type of system that you would need to have, like either a budget system or like the best. But he's talking about CitizenCon. He's the aftermath of the CitizenCon, and he's going to give his opinions on it. And he says here in the title, everything feels far away. I think that's if you're relatively new within a few years of Star Citizen, I don't know, maybe he's not, but that generally happens. This point happens to people around that year, like 2-3 years.
CitizenCon has been and gone. We've had loads of information. Some would say too much information, but I did some predictions beforehand, so I thought it'd be good to go through some thoughts after the event. So let's get into it. So first up, planetary pyro planets, but basically just planets. I was hoping in this section, in this panel, for more content, outposts, things to do, but it really was just a pure look at the planets and the tech and the artwork, and all of which are amazing and they look incredible. But as we know, this game has got all the...
Yeah, we were talking about wanting wildlife when we watched here. By the way, applause to everybody who joined us here for CitizenCon last weekend. I had an absolute blast with you guys. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. But one thing, when we saw all these new planets and moons, which are great, they're beautiful. Like, they're all beautiful. I kind of disagree with 10 Pound 42. I think this is content. Like, we're creating planets that we can land on. Now, after we've been in this for a while and we walk around these planets, they're void of a lot of life. This is what we talked about would improve most of these planets. Wildlife, right? Creatures, aliens, alien creatures, alien beasts. You know, we want some variety, right? But that means there needs to be more object containers, and more object containers means more load, which means server issues and technical hurdles. And 10 Pound 42 is a dude who knows all about this shit. In fact, 10 Pound 42 knows more about this than I do, for sure. But we do want something more. We're just waiting for these technical hurdles to be hurdled over.
Yeah, art for days and days and days. Doesn't need more artwork. It needs things to do on those planets, and
Steve Irwin moments.
There's just no talk of that whatsoever. No talk of outposts or things to do, or even any looks at kind of things like caves or anything on the planets. It literally just, we've got planets. They look beautiful. We'll see. My suspicion is, with the whole of this this video, is that everything we see is unfortunately further off than we thought it was, because there's a lot of talk about things for the future. We'll get to the end, to the incredible Squadron 42 mammoth talk. It wasn't really about Squadron 42, but
I can't wait till Space Cows make it in. All the amazing content that will come from that tech.
Pyro stuff. On one hand, they look incredible, and some of the best looking stuff that CRG has done.
The planets and the moons are amazing.
On the other hand, they're just...
It was perfect timing too, wasn't it, Bud?
To play on, and where is the stuff to play with? That's really my thoughts on the planets. Next up, we had the investigation stuff. Again, this seems like it's quite a long way off. They're talking about really early kind of demos of this that they're doing internally to pitch them almost as ideas. And so I'm not too excited about that. I think my concern with anything like this, any of the mission stuff, is that how replayable is it? And do I see myself replaying investigation missions over and over again? Probably not. Right. But
I agree.
Big shout out to Luke and Elliot, who, as far as I can tell, are the only two people creating gameplay and content for...
Yes, I totally agree with that opinion of his, man. You know, like, that's the one thing I said like 3-4 weeks ago when Elliot first made an appearance on Inside Star Citizen, that I felt like Elliot is like foot on the ground dev. Like, he's in the game, he's fixing these problems. At least that's the way it comes across. Now, I know that there's a lot of other people involved in this, so you have to keep in mind, like, real life, like, real talk here. here's the real talk. Some of these dudes, they don't want to be on camera, man. They don't want to take the time to be on camera. They don't need it. They don't want it. They don't want anything to do with it unless they're absolutely forced to be on camera. They don't want to have to deal with the drama. Like, that's what's happening. So, like, while it feels like Elliot and Luke are like the only two that are on the ground doing like the work that needs to be done, I'm sure there's plenty of others. But really, though, I know that Elliot is very passionate about the game. And that makes me feel good because he's saying, okay, you guys have this issue, this issue, this issue. Here's what we're going to do. And like, that feels like something I don't really feel has ever been part of the project, at least maybe not on the surface for us to look at, you know. This is the first time really like I've felt that kind of visceral connection with a dev where like they're in the game and they're playing and they see the problems and they're fixing the problems. Oh, and now they're on a show and they're talking about the problems and how they're going to solve the problems. This is the real content I love. That's really what I want to see more of from Inside Star Citizen with the new set, which, by the way, that's going to be phenomenal. Right. There's a lot of intimacy to it. Like, we even had Elliot on our Inside Star Citizen review. He was talking in the chat. He was like, DG, please don't keep my face paused like how we've got 10-pound 42's face, because Elliot was making some crazy face. And he kept saying, and I didn't read it in the chat. I was talking and talking. It was like a 10-minute fucking talk. And Elliot, like, for 10 minutes, was like, DG, please, would you stop? It was really funny. Let's keep going.
Or the persistent universe. Whenever something has come out, they seem to be the people doing it. So we've basically got two people, as far as I can tell, creating things for us to do at the moment. But I'm sure that's not true, but they're the only ones who want to get on camera. That was fine. The underground facility, similar, just all concept art. And so
right,
even the white box stuff.
Well, they had white box stuff, yeah. Yeah, right.
There's no sense that that's coming in the next year, maybe a year if we're lucky, but that looks quite a long way off. Does look great, and really stretches the scale of the facilities. At the moment, the underground facilities feel like just a small thing, whereas the artwork at least suggests this will be a major major location. Basically, each one of them will be a significant place. But again, what gameplay will be in there? There was a lot of talk from Ian Leyland, who is the art director, about gameplay. Maybe we could do this.
Talked a lot about bowels.
That is not a good sign, because again, that means we're miles off actually getting into the hands of gameplay designers. So there we go. Let's talk about the need for multiple speeds panel. This seems like a good change to me. They're basically changing the way that we fight and fly at high speeds, and they're bringing all the combat to under 200 meters per second, and then quantum travel, everything else will be in a different mode. And for me, that sounds like a good thing. I think we'll have to see how it plays out, but yeah, again, that's good. But when are we going to get that? They said that that's quite easy to tune for Squadron 42 because there's only a few ships, but when we actually would get that in the PU, I think that's quite a way off as well. Lorville, I have to say, I was a bit disappointed by this, because my understanding was that it was a complete rework of the city. What they actually showed was really just a load of set dressing. So you can fly around, yes, and that's really cool, but the major thing that they've added is all the high buildings, and they've added visuals to the outskirts of the city. And they didn't really show anything from the cities in the actual way you walk around in the city itself.
Yeah, because they haven't designed that yet.
Was just what we have now.
Yeah, because they haven't designed that yet. Everything right now is just pretty much exterior till they add like more places to go to, man. It's interesting because like you do feel like the work needs to be done faster. The more I watch things like this, and the more I'm starting to listen to like the sentiment of these of all of these different videos. You've seen a lot of content creators come out with this, you know, the post-mortem of CitizenCon. And it all kind of like gives you that vibe, like, why can't they work any faster? Right? It's a big thing they built. 800 plus employees, 5 different locations, you know. It has to do with streamlining the business. It has to do with the business of Cloud Imperium and the way they manage it.
time it's gonna be glass.
Thank you so much, Mod81. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. That lifted my spirits up.
Oh, but with these nice backdrops, all these nice buildings. So, I don't know. It looks nice and it will be fun to fly through the buildings, but I was thinking that they were going to rework the city itself, and it doesn't seem like that's what they're doing. So that one was a bit disappointing for me. The power play stuff, all of the resource management stuff, oxygen, atmosphere, all that sort of thing. Again, a very cool panel. Again, really early stuff. Obviously, to get to this stage takes quite a lot of engineering work, where they can do these kind of in-engine mock-ups and they can show us things. But that actually getting to us in-game is a long way off. And I guess as well, that will be part of Squadron 42. So it suggests that, yeah, again, Squadron 42 has got a lot of work. And again, we'll come on to that in a minute. But yeah, it was good stuff and all stuff that we're excited about for the future of the game. But there's no way that we're getting any of that stuff in the near future.
Well, wait.
It's, yeah. Or
I don't know if I mean, like, like I feel like 10 Pound 42 is taking like a defeatist kind of attitude towards all of this. Like he's getting, you know, like, I don't know, man. I don't know necessarily this is going to take a long time. I don't know. I mean, like, if you go with the track record and past history, yeah. Like, who's to say? Who's to say? Who's to say how long any of this will take, man?
Or at least if we get something, it's going to be a really very basic implementation of it. But again, there's a theme here. A lot of stuff is really cool, but a lot of stuff that seems like it's not very close at all. The ships, normally I don't get excited about ships really at all. I only own, having backed the game in like 2013, I only own an Arrow and a Cutlass Black. So ships don't really do much for me normally. But the Spirit looks very cool. And
listen,
yeah,
listen. I'm starting to feel the vibe of the Spirit a little bit. Yeah, like I love only the ass end. Remember, if you guys were here at CitizenCon, I said I really only love the ass end of the Spirit. I like that ass. Wasn't too happy about the face, you know. Wasn't happy about the face. But the more I'm seeing it, man, I think it's growing on me.
If I had an idea of when it was coming, I may well upgrade my Cutlass Black to the Spirit. Still wouldn't cost that much money just to do the upgrade. I'm not going to be buying it outright, but it looks really cool. I think the cargo variant would be the one I'd go for. But I like the look of it.
That ass is hot.
I may well actually buy or upgrade to that one. Again, the Corsair look cool and all the buggy stuff is fine. Not interested by that really. But CIG do ships and they do them well. We shouldn't be surprised by that. Let's move on. And then finally, we came on to a surprise panel from Chris and Richard Tyra talking about the work that they're doing for Squadron 42 that will eventually make its way to the persistent universe. It wasn't really about the Squadron 42 itself, so in my predictions, I thought maybe we'll get some sort of teaser.
Here's what I wanted the Spirit to look like on the front. Like this is what I would have liked the Spirit to look like on the front here. Like, see the front half, right? This is more like along the lines of what I would want the front half to look like, right? Keep the ass. Don't make the sloped front of like don't give it that carrocky look. Give me this kind of vibe right there. You know, that's my opinion about it as far as the aesthetics.
That wasn't what this was. This was quite an interesting reality check, I think, for us in terms of where Squadron 42 is at. My guess is that
that's a
the whole move from Rich Tyra,
not the whole ship, just the front of it,
Squadron 42. I think at this stage, last year, whenever it happened, they must have thought, we've got a game here that isn't very good. We know that CIG have nailed the visuals, and actually there's been a leak that you may well have seen from some Squadron 42 kind of teaser footage, and as we know, CIG are incredible at graphics, and they can do that, which is kind of the backwards way round, or the wrong way round that game development normally works. If you saw any of the GTA 6 leaks, there was all this hoo-ha, why does it look so terrible? But what they were working on the gameplay, they were working on the mechanics, they were working on animation, all those sorts of things. And what we seem to have with CIG is that they've done it not probably intentionally, but we've got this situation where we've got these incredible graphics probably for Squadron 4.
No, I'll tell you why. Because Chris is a visual dude, man. Like, he's all about the visuals. Like, that's exactly why they're doing it ass backwards, man. Like he's right. He's right. In terms of game development, usually that shit's sorted first, right? But like, he had to sell the game and he had to make it look good. So he also falls in line with the dude who like likes to make things look good, right? So yeah, interesting that he said that. I agree.
So that you can search on YouTube and find. But the core mechanics of the game, of the movement of the character and of the flying of the ships, two main things, they're nowhere near finished. Absolutely nowhere near. And you would, as I say, you'd think that in the 10 years of development, the thing they would have nailed by now would have been, how does the character traverse? How does he move? How does he interact with the environment?
I mean, think about the history of the engine itself. Like, think about the fucking turmoil of the engine and the things we're dealing with now, even now with physics, man. You know? Yeah, this is stuff that should have been like nailed down first.
And how do ships fly?
I love the parkour.
But they've gone back to the drawing board on basically all of that. So that is a problem, I think. You have to say that they must have restarted. They must have just got to the point where Richard Tyra came across. He seems to be taking a major role in terms of leading the direction of a lot of these features. He must have just come in and said, this is rubbish. This isn't any good. And so he has then, or as the team, they've decided to rework all of it. Now, what they're showing looks good. The EVA stuff, I guess, it looks good and it's going in the right direction. All the ship combat stuff that they're talking about, they are talking about as developers that it's good and it's the right direction. But yeah, I mean, what have they been doing for 10 years? I say this as a very patient backer who I don't normally get too annoyed at anything with Star System. It's just a game after all. And
I like his attitude.
Yeah, I just don't get too cross about anything. But it just seems as though I do know that development for games is iterative. That you do a version of traversal and
it's
then
all engine related.
A few years later, you might improve on that. But it seems as though they've just gone back to the drawing board on a lot of things to try and get this game in order. There is though a positive to this, I think. If you were ever around when the Wii U was released, here's a tangent. The Wii U was released by Nintendo, and Nintendo really struggled to get games out for the Wii U for a while. The reason they gave for this, they were interviewed and gave various things. They underestimated the amount of people that it took to make HD games. And obviously the Wii U isn't really like a powerhouse of a games console, but they transitioned from standard definition or low resolution artwork with the Wii up to, in theory, HD with the Wii U. Their art assets, the environments, everything had to look much better and had to have a lot more work. And they said that it basically took double the amount of people. So, normally in game development, the bit where you do the graphics can be really hard, and working on really high-end graphics can take ages, as we've seen with a load of games around. To get games like Cyberpunk out took ages, and a lot of that would have been putting these massive environments together. But CIG have basically done all of that work already. They've put the massive environments together. They've basically nailed the graphics. They've nailed the artwork, the tech to get their planets together. And so basically, I imagine when they're playing through their current builds of Squadron 42, it looks incredible. And it plays like rubbish. But the good news might be that actually it might be quicker for them to fix the gameplay than it would be to fix the graphics, if that makes any sense. Because, yeah, it can just take ages to get graphics scaled up and looking really good. Whereas in theory, they look like they're making progress on the gameplay stuff. There we go. There's some thoughts on that. I was a bit shocked by some of this stuff that Chris and Richard were talking about. It just seems like if they'd done that panel, if they talked about those things 5 years ago, you would have been okay. But to do it 10 years in when they're really doing some basic...
Totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
The traversal stuff seems like that should really have happened a long time.
And I'll tell you what, a lot of people thought that ending was a troll, man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I totally agree with him on this.
there we go. There was some good stuff in there. I think the Mobi-Glass looks great.
Mobi-Glass looks awesome.
The kind of interaction system there, moving away from just holding F and having to look around with the mouse, but being able to just look at things and pick them up looks good.
Yep.
Radar, fine,
simplifying
whatever.
UI, simplifying
skills
character
as well
movement.
I think there's going to be some trade-offs in this game. I think what seems to be happening is, in order to get people to take Death of a Spaceman seriously and to stop just backspacing, there's going to have to be some reasons other than just money why you don't want to lose your character. And I think having a built-up technique or skill where that character is quite good at a certain thing, I think that is a trade-off. That is kind of the opposite of what they always talked about in this game. There wouldn't be any kind of points or things that you do like this where you skill up your character. But I'm not too unhappy about that. But there we go. A lot of thoughts.
I mean, it's not.
I would love to hear.
It's not skills in the traditional way that we fucking grew up in gaming. That skills gave the gameplay of skills gave us. You know, it's not that traditional skill set. You know that they're talking about. They're literally talking about it as if like when you play survival games. You know, like Scum. If you guys have ever played Scum, it's like repetition in action. The repetition in action, it's usually stamina related elements of gameplay that skill you up. Like that's the way, not you know, buying books or picking skills or it's just like repetition in action. So I don't view that like some others do. Like that's a complete betrayal of the narrative of having no skills. I don't fall in line with that camp of thinking, because these are things that I've played in survival games that I generally like.
Hear your thoughts in the comments, just in general about the CitizenCon and just about all the different topics. That's
a good video.
On one hand, a good one, a good CitizenCon, I'd say. There was some really interesting stuff in there.
It was a mixed bag.
I come out of it feeling like both games, Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, are further away than I wanted them to be when I went into CitizenCon. I feel like the stuff that they've showed, all the pyro stuff, all of the gameplay for the persistent universe is quite a way off. And
yeah, I agree with some of his points on that. Let's see how long he's been making videos for. I'm going to like that. 10pound42. Go check him out. Let's look at the videos, and let's sort it by the oldest video here. 2 years ago. Yep. So I was pretty spot on. And at least that's how long he's been a content creator. He could have been a backer for longer than 2 years on Star Citizen. But it looks like when he started making Star Citizen content, it was about a year or two ago. So this is like the natural progression of a Star Citizen, right? So like after 2 or 3 years, you're like, holy shit, this is taking a long time. Then you start to get upset, and then it takes you another year or two to like get over the fact that it's taking a long time. Now we're like way past the point. But like, here's the thing. It'll get done when it gets done. Just going to have patience for it. And then hopefully we can get these game mechanics nailed down in terms of like just physics and movement, man. You know, just like basic core things that normally developers start there first. And he's absolutely right. In terms of game development, usually that's what people are character design, character modeling, physics and movement on characters. Those things usually get nailed down first. But because of how Star Citizen started, and Chris loves the visuals, that's why you saw the visuals being pushed more, graphics being pushed more. That's what brought more money in. That's how they got their initial support. And, you know, after we've been doing this for some time, it's a valid criticism to say, hey, you know, let's go back to grassroots. Let's get this shit nailed down. Then let's worry about, like, you know, expanding the cities out, making new planets, these types of things. But really, it's a process now that has 800 plus employees. Nothing is linear anymore. Like, it's all kind of like in different departments, and you know, it's becoming its own. It's becoming its own beast, if you will. And it's doing its own thing now. But we need to make sure it's being managed correctly, and we need to make sure that they're focusing on these things, because really, I think probably the most important features of a game is actually being able to, you know, have proper physics. I'm a big physics guy with games, you know. So let's nail that down, Cloud Imperium. Let's get this shit going.